It's personal.
Anybody who knows me knows that I don't know anything about sports. I mean, I'm pretty sports illiterate, married to a former sportscaster. There's the irony in that. But I do know that if you're going to have success in your sport, it's all about the fundamentals.
Absolutely.
So Kevin Fuerst sat down here this morning. He, of course, is with Fuerst Financial Group, and he said, what's on my mind are the fundamentals.
Yeah.
That's the key to everything.
Yep. Good
But
morning,
in a
Julie,
good
by the
morning.
way.
In a financial conversation, though, what does that mean? What are the fundamentals of your money?
Yeah, so I think it's, we used to have a slogan, everything counts or everything matters. And so with that, you have to start. I mean, that's a fundamental. You have to get out there. It's like sports. You have to get out there. You have to practice. You have to get in the game. In finance, you have to start somewhere. It doesn't have to be, sometimes people think, well, I don't have enough money to get started.
Mm-hmm.
You can start with $25 a month. I know that seems like not that much, but 25 can become 100, can become 500, can become 1,000 a month.
Mm-hmm.
Because
it's the conditioning?
It's the conditioning, yeah. And then, a budget, you should have some kind of a budget or know somewhat of what you're going to spend. And then there's taxes. There's fundamentals in preparing your taxes and make sure that you're watching out over your growth in your assets and so forth so that it's not all taxed.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's estate planning, there's fundamentals there. There's some things you just have to have, powers of attorney, a will, a trust, whatever
Right.
might fit your scenario. And then, when you think about sports,
mm-hmm.
the professionals, what they really do is they have perfected the fundamentals.
Right.
And that's what makes them good. And so in my business, I always look at it as you've got to perfect your fundamentals in savings, in watching. If you don't watch it, you lose it.
Right.
And so that's always been my thought as well. And so, or watch a thing or you'll lose a thing. And so you
Right.
just have to constantly look at your assets, your risk. Are you taking too much risk? And so there's just fundamentals, dollar cost averaging.
What does that mean?
Dollar cost averaging instead of, so right now we're, any new money that comes in, because we're getting to really the top of the market again. So instead of putting it all in, we'll put it in over time. So we'll hold it in a money market, pays 4%, and we'll drip into the market a little bit at a time. Because if it does pull back, now we've put everything in, we put 100,000 in, the market pulls back 5%, you feel the whole loss.
Right.
Versus if I'm just putting $10,000 a month in or $5,000 a month in of that 100 and the market drops, then I can move it in. You haven't lost.
Okay, so here you sit.
Mm-hmm.
This is your expertise. This is your sport, right?
Yeah, it is.
So you understand this quite well.
Yep.
This is not my sport.
Right.
And probably like a lot of people watching this morning, my life is, I have my investments and I kind of know that it's going in. Not a whole lot I can do about it. I'm years away from retirement.
Mm-hmm.
And I live my life. And I'll think about my money, but then I'm also doing the grocery list and cleaning up after the animals and all the stuff.
Yeah.
So when somebody comes to you at Fuerst Financial Group, you're looking over all of it, right? So that they can still take care of their own life.
Correct. So you have to look at everything, get the big picture, and then break it down into small bites so that everybody can kind of get their arms around it. Because if I unload everything on somebody, it's just too much. So when we onboard a new client, we work one aspect at a time. Either it's taxes or it could be estate planning is the focus, knowing that we have to come back to those others and get those fundamentals in line as well.
What timeline do you work on to come back to those others? Like how frequently do you see a new client?
So with a new client, it's somewhere between 4 and 6 weeks per item.
That's nice. You get to really know them that way.
Oh yeah. Well, you have to. You have to know everything about them. What's coming in, what's going out, what are their needs, what are their goals,
Mm-hmm.
what do they think in their mind they can do. So you have to have a reality check sometimes also.
For the people who are just starting out, maybe there's a recent college graduate out there or a new parent out there. The terminology, the vocabulary of finances is its own unique niche.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a book that you like that you recommend to people or a source or resource to turn to?
Now, there's a couple books out there. I don't know that any one that I can think of off the top of my head, because part of it is real estate. So I don't know anybody that talks about real estate, talks about their IRAs, talks about the estate planning, talks about the taxes. Those are there's professionals in each of those fields, and so I
Right.
think sometimes you have to, and there's books out there on each of those fields, but overall encompassing, I don't know that there is
Yeah.
one. Not one that I've run across that I've just said, man, this is my cornerstone of how I think.
About a minute left. You've talked before, and you mentioned it today about the risk. Is one of the keys to being successful in your investments listening to your own kind of gut instinct that you can't do your money the way your neighbor might do his or her money?
I think that's right, and that's risk tolerance, and that's how much stock to bond ratio. So if you are you a 60% in stocks, 40% in bonds? Are you no stocks at all, you only want bonds? Or are you 100% in stock? I have all of the above in
Really?
clients.
You have people who only have bonds?
Yeah. No, they don't want any risk. They want income. That's all they want.
they
And
want.
if they can get 4 or 5%, and if it's tax-free, that's what they want.
Okay.
And then I have some that just have all in stock, but they didn't panic. They're not calling when the market drops 10 or 20% because
Right.
they're in it
Because
long
they
term.
did that assessment.
Right.
So I love his website. He's an optimistic guy, and the website to me says that optimism because it's growkeepleave.com. He
Right.
believes if you do it the right way, that's the dream you can achieve.
Right.
899-8555 is his phone number.
Thanks, Julie.
Anyone can say they can fix it, but only 58 Foundations and Waterproofing guarantees it with the industry's only money-back guarantee.